Hello friends, this is Cara-Renee with B.Reborn Art and Healing, coming to you with my Sunday's Art of Truth for Sunday, February the 6th, I believe. I'm going to be working in my art journal today, and I will just preface this by saying this was originally started out in about the first 10 minutes or so being a live video. In other words, I was talking as I was doing it, but as I got more involved in the process, I stopped talking and I just really got lost in the creating. And that often happens for me with my Sunday's Art of Truth because I'm processing the inspiration as I'm creating. So this is entitled Believe in Yourself. So I'm creating a controlled, what I'm calling a controlled collage in my art journal to express this concept and these feelings and what I'm processing. So these are the supplies that I'm using. So I pulled a bunch of scraps, mostly scraps from my scrap bin. But I'm also going to be laying down some book pages, as you see there. They are they're not a vintage page, or not super vintage, but they are a nice cream color, so I thought they would be nice to create a base here. So I am going to be applying those with my fluid matte medium from Liquitex. And then we will be collaging, again, a controlled collage, meaning that I'm going to be pretty deliberate about where I put my pieces, what colors I bring in, and those kinds of things. But you'll be able to see that as this unfolds. I did create off camera, I did create a couple of wax seals just because I was like, wow, it'd be really cool to kind of create as a part of this collage, like a faux envelope type of thing, like a love letter. And that will make more sense to you if you check out the blog over on B.Rebornart.com, and you can read about all of the thinking and all of the processing that went into this journal page. This is the new journal that I shared in my last Sunday's Art of Truth. I am loving the size of it, and I'm loving that I don't have to deal with that seam, you know, when the book is folding. You know what I mean. I don't have to deal with pages, I guess is what I'm saying. So again, just applying these papers with my fluid matte medium. I'm going to go ahead and just turn on the music and let you watch for a bit, and then I will come back on when we move to the next step. Just pulling some additional pages there. I'm not sure what I was thinking, why I didn't start with just putting those edge to edge, but I don't know, I wasn't. So I have no explanation for that other than I was just kind of in the zone, and this is after work on an evening. So again, that's not my optimal time to be creating and be cohesive and make sense. So I hope that you will forgive me that, but I hope that you enjoy the process nonetheless. It's really very freeing to create in a journal because there are no rules. If you never want anybody to see that journal, you don't have to show it to anybody. And that is the beauty of an art journal. It's a very free way to create, express your emotions, express your struggles, get dirty with tape and glue and paint and whatever it is that you want to use. So I absolutely adore it. So I did go ahead and try that really quickly. And so here, as you can see, I am talking with my hands. This again was very early in the video, and so that will quiet down as we go along. So I'm going to be using my Liquitex white gesso to go ahead and push back some of that print because I don't want it to look like a newspaper, which is what it looks like right now. So by applying the white gesso, I can create some cohesive is the word that comes to me. I'm not sure that that's actually the word I'm looking for, but it just brings things together, I guess, is what I'm thinking here. And so I'm not pushing back all of the print because I do want to see some of it, but there is a lot of text there and it's a little bit overwhelming. So by pushing that back with the gesso, I'm reserving some spots to be a little bit clearer, which shows up in the final product at the end. So that's what I'm doing here. You can get see a full list of the mixed media supplies that I use in over on my blog in the supply list. That is now dry, so I decided to go ahead and come in with my Liquitex transparent raw umber ink. This is an acrylic ink, so once it goes down on your paper, it is permanent. So I do usually water it down on my page or on my substrate, whatever it is that I'm working on. And so I sprayed that with my large water bottle, and then I'm just going to drop some of that raw umber on the surface. And I didn't wait for that gesso to be completely dry. And the benefit of doing that is that you do kind of affect the gesso at the same time when you're using a brush like this, or even if you were using your fingers. So it's going to push some of that gesso around. It's going to create a little bit of texture that is a little bit unexpected and really beautiful. So I am going to come in with my brush into those the ring there so that that's not stark white. I don't like that really white area. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe it up a little bit, pat it up with my baby wipe. And I do come in and do another round of that because, as you can see, it's very heavy on the right hand side and not so much on the left. So I'm going to go ahead and add some more ink there. If you were to pick a product, 2 products to use to get going and playing around in mixed media, white gesso and raw umber acrylic ink would be 2 of my highly recommended products because they have fantastic result, as you're going to see here in a moment. I'm going to hold this up for you so that you can see by doing very little the texture and the interest that we got on this surface. You can see that gesso, and you can see where the ink line is bumping up against the gesso, and that creates that really kind of vintage kind of mottled, inconsistent surface, which is really, really gorgeous. No matter what you end up putting on the front of it, it's just beautiful. So those would be my 2 most recommended products if you just have to pick what you want to start with. I'm not sure what I was talking about here other than, I think that this is where I was in real time talking about how I was going to do kind of a controlled collage. So not just messily kind of applying papers, but being more strategic, placing strips of paper horizontally and vertically, overlaying, and just creating some really beautiful visual interest to the spread. To eventually get to the point where the focal image, which is going to be that beautiful girl, is going to be, she's gonna pop out because of everything that I put around her. It's really quite lovely in the end. So I am using my art glitter glue to put these down because I didn't want to put a whole nother layer of wet medium on top of this. There's no need for that. In fact, if you wanted to, you could do this all dry. You wouldn't have had to adhere the base papers with the fluid matte medium, but I am at heart a mixed media artist. That's my favorite thing. Next to watercolor, they're kind of tied. So I work a lot with wet medium, and that just tends to be where I go when I'm creating for my Sunday's Art of Truth. So, but you could do this dry if you wanted to, use your art glitter glue, use your glue stick or whatever as you normally would with a collage kind of activity. So off camera, I did take just my scraps and I ran some of them through my die cut machine, created some scallop kind of borders. I created a couple of medallion looking pieces, which you'll see here in a little bit. Just using, again, my scraps, which is awesome. It's an awesome way to use scraps. So most of these are scraps. In fact, I think they all are either from my really large bin of the larger pieces or the smaller ones. So I'm going to go ahead and just let you watch. I'm going to set the music on and let you just watch this process. It goes on a little bit. Hopefully you'll find it interesting and you won't get too bored. It's worth watching for the end product, because what you're going to see is I'm very decisive about some things and not very decisive about other things. And so I do move things around. I do change my mind and all of those things before I glue things down. So you can kind of watch and learn that if you have an idea in your head, it doesn't mean that that's set in stone. You can change your mind until you're done, virtually. Again, this is your art journal. This is your private place. This is your place to express and explore and experiment with mediums, experiment with techniques. And so you don't need to ever show it to anybody. Obviously, I'm a YouTube creator, so and I do create for my Sunday's Art of Truth. So I do share these things openly. But you certainly don't have to do that. It can be a very personal and very private kind of place for you to explore your creativity and anything that goes along with that, emotional, physical, mental, whatever it is that you've got going on in your world. So in my world, what I was thinking about as I was creating this, I know I said I was going to let you watch and set the music, but as I'm doing the voiceover, I'm just thinking about what was going on as I was creating this, which was just merely an hour ago, so it's not too much after the fact. So hopefully I can be succinct in how I'm describing what I was thinking as I was doing this. So the theme and the title of this page is Believe in Yourself. And originally my thought process was I wanted to create something around belief and faith. For me, to believe is to have faith, and that's just because of my faith system, what I live by. And I was thinking about how that applies to all of us, no matter what your faith belief system is, no matter what that kind of root belief you have and where you come from. I think we can all identify with the desire to believe in things that are good, to believe in growth, to believe in love, to believe in hope, and all of those kinds of things. And as this was unfolding, I began thinking about our value as people, as women, particularly, obviously, because I'm a woman, but our value as people. This world has placed a false price tag on us as human beings. And I think that there's a lot of value in going back and looking at what is the truth about who we are, what is the truth about our value in this world, in the people that are in the middle of our world, in the middle of our life. And for me, again, because of my faith, my life that I live, the faith that I walk in, that has everything to do with how I believe that God sees me and my relationship with Jesus, and how he walks with me and talks with me, and he tells me what my value is all the time. And so I think that there are times in our lives where things can get pretty crazy, and it's important to be able to slow down and ask ourselves the truth about what is our value. And by telling ourselves the truth about our value, it allows us to believe in ourselves. And if we believe in ourselves, then we're going to make a difference in the world. We're going to be happy. We're going to be content. We're going to be healthier mentally, emotionally, spiritually, if we have a correct belief system about ourselves. And I'm not talking about faith there. I'm talking about who we believe that we are. What do we believe that we can accomplish in this world? What impact do we believe that we have? And so those were just some of the things that were going through my mind as I was creating this controlled collage. So, and obviously I picked some of my favorite papers. Pink roses are my love. They reach a part of my heart that is just really precious. And so I often gravitate towards those colors because they really speak to me. So I'm going to now let you go ahead and listen to the music until we get to the next step, and then I will come back. So here I got a little bit stuck with some of my additional collage bits. I had pulled these flowers out. They're from a Tim Holtz wallpaper package. I really thought I wanted to use them, but as I had already chosen the pages, I felt like those colors were just not vibrant enough. This one was okay, but it still just didn't, it just wasn't resonating with me. So you're going to see me fuss around a little bit with that until I figure out that I really don't want to use those at all. So, and again, that's the beautiful thing about doing collage and about doing work in an art journal is you can just kind of play around and change your mind until you're satisfied with what you have. And I just look for that place in me that says, aha, this speaks to me. This expresses what I had intended for it to express. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. So just thought I'd let you know what was going on. So just continuing here with some additional elements, I picked some labels, some tickets, some that reddish orange triangle, not triangle, rectangle is from the Love Junk Journal's tin. I can't think, tin toppers. So they're just great little labels. They say kind of sewing things on them, like eyelets and thread and things like that. So I just thought I liked the pop of color because I felt like it was really going to help tie in different things from around the page, like the colors in the butterfly and then the greens and things like that. So I really love how it turned out. This was super fun. There I was realizing that I did not ink the edges of those two. Those are the medallion things that I was talking about, where I just took a piece of scrap paper. I have a 3D embossing folder that has, it's like a medallion shape. So I used that here. Again, just continuing on, finishing putting on some of those other elements. These were the little things I'm using the hole punch on are some tickets from Cara-Brandon Creations. Thought they were a great addition as well. Again, placing different colors that are in the design around the spread really helps it to be cohesive and look like you were purposeful in what you were choosing, which I was very purposeful in this process. So I really like, again, how it turned out. The tickets were a great addition. So yeah, and I'm just kind of, I'm wanting those to go out to the edges a little bit too, just so that not everything is concentrated in the middle. I have never really done a collage like this, what I was calling a controlled collage, because I'm not just slapping papers down and being very decisive about where I'm putting them. So I was thinking about using that blank strip there that I have my hands on to put my sentiment on, and you'll be able to see that in the final pictures. I cannot remember right now if I did that on camera or if I did it once I turned the camera off at the end, but it turned out really great. And again, the sentiment is believe in yourself. So that's what I used. So I did pull out some of those stamps that I showed you in the beginning. I didn't use all of them. I just like to have them at hand so that I can just grab, and whatever kind of speaks to me is what I use. So I couldn't find I have a long clear block and I could not find it in my drawer that it's normally in. So I'm just having to use my fingers, and I'm using these stitch stamps. I believe they're from Ranger, and they're one of my favorite elements because they kind of again create that faux stitching look on a spread that I think is really pleasing, and it fit for this project, given what I'm talking about and what I'm writing about our value and believing in ourselves. And part of believing in ourselves is accepting the broken places, the torn places, the imperfect places, the things that got stitched back together because they were once torn. And it doesn't diminish our value, it just changes who we are a little bit. We can't go back to being unbroken when we've been broken, but we can be very beautiful in a new place of being healed and repaired and growing and all of those things that I often talk about. So again, just moving around the page with that stitch stamp, a couple of different ones from the set. And I do come in with some other stamps, some regrettably, because I didn't really, putting text on text doesn't really work because I was trying to use the stamp on the text paper that's on the base, and that was just really silly. But you know, again, it's imperfect. It's in an art journal. It's not meant to be a masterpiece, and it's my creation. It's my expression of a processing place for me. So I just kind of shrug those things off, and I don't beat myself up for things that I try that didn't quite, you know, fit the bill. So here in a moment, though, I am going to use a really small cluster of dots that I think really made a difference on the spread in the end. So I'll let you go ahead and watch that here for a little bit. I was struggling to see which was the upside of that, which way it was supposed to directionally go. So I'm just there looking at the stamp image on the plastic to see if I could figure out what direction it's supposed to go. It was a little bit illegible, but not a big deal. And then this is just a circle stamp, kind of like a coffee splatter kind of look. So that again adds a little bit of visual interest without adding any more three-dimensional kind of texture, which can be really pretty, really a compliment. And there's the circles. You can see that it's just a really small stamp with all these circles all clustered together, and I thought it was a great addition. I am using my vintage photo archival ink to stamp, as you can see there. I talk about that often. It is listed in the supply list over on the blog, and the link to the blog is in the video description if you want to check that out. And again, this is my Sunday's Art of Truth, so if you want to go ahead and read the inspiration for this piece, you can head on over to the blog at B.Rebornart.com. The link is in the video description. So just adding the last pieces here of the ephemera that I had picked. This is some more elements from the Love Junk Journal Tin Toppers kit from, again, Love Junk Journals, that's Tracy Fox. So I love these. So, and then off camera, I think I had mentioned at the beginning of the video, I did do a couple of wax seals and decided I wanted to use them here. So originally I had thought it would be really kind of cool to have something that looked like a love letter hidden in the collage. And so that's what I'm doing with that little piece above that grain stamp. I'm making that look like a little sealed envelope, kind of a private personal note about who I am and about all the promises that I have and that I hold on to. So I thought that was perfect. And then another stamp. This is in a really light, kind of a pinkish lavender color wax. And I thought, again, it fit really well. So I'm going to go ahead and attach her also on there by the girl. So thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.